another one of our amazing sponsors here. So I'm going to ask Alex and Matt to come up from Stadia. Let's give them a hand. Thank you, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, listen, guys, I feel, is my stool lower? Did I pick the wrong?
What happened here, Mark?
I mean, I think you guys are taller than me, but it feels like you're a lot. I feel
we can sit on the
very
stairs if you want
short.
to.
This is nice. Yeah, no, I'm just going to lower this more to make me feel worse. This is fine. This is perfect. This is great. So I know what Stadia is. Lux is a Stadia church plant. And so we've been working with and partnering with Stadia for the past couple of years. But tell me about yourselves, and then do me a favor and also just tell me what you do with Stadia and then what Stadia is, why you guys are in the vendor hall next door.
Yeah. So my name's Alex. I'm the director of marketing for Stadia. And I also want to say, I can probably speak for both of us. Like, when Matt and I heard about this conference, we wanted to be here because I'm a card-carrying nerd. Comic books are my particular area of nerddom. Any other comics? Yeah.
Yeah, amen.
I grew up, actually, my dad he was not into sports at all. His thing was comics. And so, I remember, this sounds so great. We'd go to the comic book shop together, and he would be so excited about the next issue of whatever it was, Superman. He was huge into Superman, Silver Age. He grew up in that time, and he would have the comic book out on the steering wheel. I don't know if you know this, but
that's a whole different level.
That's a whole different level of nerd, right?
Yeah.
This is what I grew up with, and I'm very unsafe. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know if you know this, but a comic book.
Alex was unbuckled in the front seat, 6 years old.
6 years old. Yeah.
Dad, let me see that.
He would probably be reading it to me at the time, and doing all the voices, But a standard comic book fits pretty well on us. No. But we even went to comics conventions. We helped out with chapel services at comics conventions. So very much in the same vein of trying to reach people that no one else is reaching. So for me, that's huge. But what was your question again?
No, you answered it. That's perfect.
That's good.
Yeah, we'll pass it to Matt. He'll tell us what Stadia actually is.
There you go. Let him do the important stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My name's Matt. I am the Vice President of Mission Support at Stadia, which is a random title. Most of my job is I kind of work as our CFO, making sure that the money that comes into the organization is spent in a way that honors God and helps his kingdom grow. I'm also a big comic book guy and also hundreds of Star Wars novels into my life at this point. So that's kind of the world that I live in.
Canon and non-canon. I love it. Yeah.
Stadia is, we're a 20-year-old organization started in Northern California and that's now works internationally to start new churches. We've started a little over 2,000 churches over those years, and we're working to scale that up even more over the next decade to just reach more people. As we know, the population right now is right around 8 billion-ish. In the next very little bit, they're projecting it to be 9.5 billion. And that's just more and more people that we need to be continuing to tell about Jesus.
One of the things I love about Stadia is you guys have this real, there's churches closing, but population is also increasing, right? And so you have this conviction about planting gospel-centered churches, but to do that with people who are both prepared and to do it rapidly. And one of the things that Stadia has recognized is the fact that probably can't. We want to do it rapidly. We want to plant great churches, but we're probably not planting all conventional churches. Yeah. And so Lux was planted through Stadia. I remember I called Stadia and I was like, hey, I have this crazy idea of planting an entirely online church. Just kind of figured I would just shoot the breeze and probably get a no. But Stadia was like, yeah, can you get into one of our cohorts and start learning and growing with us? So
I planted a church in 2010 in Annapolis, Maryland, and another one in downtown Baltimore City in 2013. That was a very conventional, both of those are very conventional churches with Sunday gatherings and all the ministries you think of, both with Stadia. And since then, over time, as technologies change, as people's interests has changed, we really want to help people start the church that God's calling them to start, right? We don't want to force people into some preconceived model. So if the calling that you have is to start a church in the digital space, then by all means, let's do that. Alex and I were joking in the back. We learned about MR yesterday from the international mission board guy. So like, I don't really super understand that, but if that's a technology that you want to use to start a new church, then by all means, let's do that. Let's figure that out together, and work on that. We want to help you again start the church that God's calling you to start.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the things too that's huge is like Stadia's vision is that we envision a world where every child has a church, and what we mean by that is I want to focus on the every piece for a second. Like, we want the people that grow up like me, many of us who self-identify as nerds. We want all of God's children to find a place where they can be at home. A community where they can be at home, where they can be loved and accepted, where they can learn about God, where they can grow about God, where they can have this kingdom imagination for, how to reach people that nobody else is reaching, like all these things. So that every piece is huge for us as well, as we look at ways in which we can start churches in models that we are not even aware of right now.
Yeah, I love it. So there's multiple church planters in the room, right? So I've talked to, we have Nurch over here who's planting a physical nerd-friendly church. We have people praying through what it looks like to plant digital churches. I just literally talked to somebody who's planting, right here, who's planting a network of nerd-friendly micro-churches that are starting in people's homes. And what I love about Stadia is you guys have kind of become the home, like, there are other church planting organizations out there, and I've talked to some of them, and a lot of them, and nothing against them, right? They're using prevailing models, right? I think I've talked with Stadia about this, right? About the trellis that they're putting all of the vines on, right? And how Stadia is really encouraging, like, hey, let's get out into culture where the trees grow and plant some wild vines, and like, let's get out there and like really innovate and see new things. And you've kind of, in my opinion, Stadia has kind of become the home for people who, when it comes to church planting organizations, man, they just like, they're getting turned away, or there's people who don't really know how to handle it. They just don't fit inside of any of the boxes that conventionally church planners fit into.
Yeah, I think that's back to everything. We really truly believe that we want to do the church that you want to do, and I think, we work with tons of other church planting organizations all the time. So we help provide services. We partner with, ARC and City to City and various denominational church planting organizations. Like, we want to just see more churches planted, and if that means that Stadia gets to be a part of it and doesn't get any credit or whatever, who cares? Like, who cares about that? Like, we just want to start more churches. So, we provide all those services. We provide a lot of different services, and you can come talk to us about the specifics of that. And the model doesn't really matter to us. Like, the model needs to be what God's calling you to do. And, we have a colleague who says all the time, we don't try to be the smartest people in the room. We want to learn with you. We do a pretty good job of writing down the dumb things we've done so we don't do them again. And that's kind of the value that we try to bring to a lot of the conversations, and just learning together to impact new communities and new people groups.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you feel like God has given you a vision for his church and you just don't, like, you've had it, right? And it's been up here, but then you've looked at the way that church has done things and you're like, this isn't a real church, or this isn't going to fit in how the church is doing things. Do me a favor, swing over next door in the vendor hall today and chat with Alex and Matt, chat with Stadia, and see what that vision that God has given you might be able to look like if it was given some flesh and bones and was starting to be put into practice. They've given me an invaluable set of tools to fundraise in order to not lose my house while I'm church planting. In order to, a lot of people do. In order to create boundaries so that I can stay spiritually healthy, in order to, as an organization, to take care of me as well. And one of the things that I have loved about Stadia is you really do, like, I feel like I've never had any school spirit. Like, never in my life have I. Like, school spirit day, I just wore a black t-shirt.
Same.
Like, I'm not interested.
I'm still wearing the black t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the closest I've come to school spirit is being Stadia strong. Like, that's the closest that I've ever gotten to it. And so go and check it out and chat with those guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for supporting and sponsoring the conference.